I came here in 1960. I had no exposure to Catholic higher education. I was in fact a bit afraid that it might be restrictive. But I found a freedom here that was much greater than I would have found at an Ivy League school or at a state school. I found that there was a freedom, if it was appropriate, to talk about questions of faith or God. My role is to teach. But if I could be hopeful or idealistic about it, I'd hope to be a role model. I've gotten so much from what I see as Ignatian spirituality. Be attentive, pay attention to what's going on around you. Be loving, try to make the world a better place if you can. And I didn't think I'd want to be a teacher, but then I did a little bit of teaching in graduate school. In the big class, the large lecture, it's part theater and it's part content. Oh, and it's so much fun when you can hold the audience and feel you're getting through. That gives you a real high. I think what works as much as anything is telling stories to illustrate points. And then when I was young, I used to write a bit of poetry. And I started to share a bit of that with my students. But so many of them tell me what they remember are the stories and even the poems. When I do Principles of Economics, and it's such a great course because in the course of a year we can cover anything we want to talk about. But we talk about economic forecasting. And I ask, who was the world's first great forecaster? Oh, and they throw out some modern names, and somebody in jest throws out my name. And finally I say, Joseph and the Pharaoh. Joseph predicted the 7 bad years and the 7 good years. And I'd written a poem on Joseph and the Pharaoh, so I would do the poem. Why am I retiring now? It's time. I want to leave before it's obvious I have to. And 56 is a good number. It's the number of Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak. It's 8 times 7, and 7 is the number of classes I missed at Boston College. 8 is the single digit of my birth month and year, 7th, 28, 7 and 2 is 9, and 8 is 16, 1 and 6 is 7. It's a good number. Not that I'm all that big on numerology. What do I want to be remembered for? Hopefully as someone who tried to do his job. I've always been just a small town kid from Minnesota who's trying to get by, but as someone who took his job seriously, has made an effort, who cared about them, and who did his best. And who went out before it was obvious he had to.